Can you talk about your case at all? I mean, I've gotten some emails from people wanting to download the paperwork. I got that one document showing the dismissal from Karl, but that's not enough.
There's not a whole lot of paperwork in the case. You know, they charged me with possession of a firearm. They found a what they call the firearm behind the seat of the car I was driving, and it was loaded. It was a loaded .45 Springfield Smith & Wesson, and they charged me with possession. And I put some paperwork in, and basically, I did exactly what Karl tells people to do. You know, who says I've done wrong? Where's the man making a claim for some kind of a loss, injury, or harm? And you know, when's the plaintiff going to appear? Who's making the claim? Why am I here? And that's it. I wouldn't budge from that. And I went to a bail hearing, and they set bail. And that's, you know, at the bail hearing, I talked with the man who was acting as a judge, and I told him, you know, man to man, I want to talk to you man to man. And he said, that's fine, as long as the prosecutor's here. And I said, okay, well, man to man, I'm letting you know that the man, Scott, who's investigating this case, tells me that there is no man making a claim against me for causing any harm, injury, or loss, so I require the case discharged. He looked at me and just said, well, here's your bail, you know, conditions, and set bail. So that was the first time I got it on the record. The next time was at a preliminary hearing. It was a probable cause hearing to find out if there was probable cause to send it to a grand jury. And the man acting as judge, you know, they proceeded with their case, and I choose not to participate. And I said what I had to say on the record. I put my notices in. And basically that's all it was, is, you know, I'm not the legal person you seek. Who's the man making a claim against me? A man. Is there a man here? Where's the man making a claim? Who says I do wrong? Who says I've caused them harm, injury, or loss? And I just kept repeating that over and over and over in court. The man acting as judge, you know, Bob or Frank or whatever his name was, he made a determination that there was probable cause and sent it over to the prosecutor's office, the county prosecutor, to present it to the grand jury. And I had been in touch with the prosecutor's office since day one, letting them know that somebody was bearing false witness against me, and I wanted them to prosecute the man making false claims, and I wanted them to prosecute the officer who had pulled me over for interfering with my right to travel. And as soon as I get back home, I'm going to follow up with that. But like I said, right now I'm in Minnesota working on a property case, and so my stuff's on hold. There's really nothing I need to do now except, you know, just follow up and make sure that it stays gone. They chose not to prosecute, and they dropped the whole thing 3 weeks in.
Let me ask you, what's a bail hearing? I mean, did they put you in jail?
Well, yeah, I was arrested at 3:30 in the morning, and I required to speak to a magistrate first thing in the morning. So they brought me in, and I was charged with something. It was not the place because it's a felony. They could not accept a plea. All they could do is set bail. So based on the charge, they set bail. So a man has a right to make bail and get out on his own recognizance and so on. So they
so you paid that amount, right? Whatever it was.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid that. I got out and I started pounding paperwork. Well, it wasn't a whole lot of paper. It was just a few simple notices, you know, targeting the people that were causing me harm.
So did you get your gun back?
I've never seen that thing. It's not mine. I have no idea what it was doing there. You know?
What? It wasn't your gun?
Wasn't my gun. Wasn't my car.
Oh, well, that was a surprise then, wasn't it?
I was a really big surprise. I wasn't too freaking happy about it. I felt like somebody set me up is what it felt like.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Okay, so do you know whose car it was?
I have no idea whose car it was. Somebody had come over and said, my roommate took off with my van. I'm using this guy's car, and I'm trying to get my van back. Could you give me a ride to my place and see if my van's there? And then, we can pick up the van. I don't want to deal with this guy. I should have never let him move in the first place. And this is somebody I knew, so I said, sure. So I hopped in this car with him, and we took off. And when we got there, the van wasn't there, so he went into the house to do some things and asked me to drive the car around to the other side. He was only going to be in there for a few minutes, and then we left.
That sounds like a setup to me.
Yeah, so I was driving, and I was traveling. I was behind the steering wheel, and so we got pulled over later on, and they found this thing back there, and everybody was getting excited. The cops did really good, actually. They were very mellow. Nobody pulled a gun on me. Nobody stuck a gun to my head. I mean, it all went down really calm and no big deal. There was by the time it was over, there's probably I counted 7 or 8 cruisers, and there was at least 12 cops over there, paddy wagon and all that shit, dogs and all that. But everybody was calm. Everybody was cool, and they thanked me for being a gentleman, and it was nice. Nobody panicked, nobody freaked out.
Wow, that sounds really well. It was a learning experience, right? Another learning experience.
When you do talk shows and you talk about this stuff over and over and over, week after week, and you think you know it. But I'll tell you something, at 3:30 in the morning when you're laying on a concrete bunk and you're going to be seeing the judge, first thing in the morning, things crystallize real well. All of a sudden, you take those 20 or 30 things that you think you're going to say and you narrow them down to the 1 or 2 things that really matter, because there is nothing else that really matters. Is there a man making a claim of harm, injury, or loss against me? Yes or no? And that's it.
So, looking back on the whole scenario, is there anything you would have done differently?
Not a damn thing.
That's wonderful that you got that clarity.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing how that happens, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you think of all these different things, and I got into court, and they were talking about bail, and the man asked me if I had anything to say about it. And I said, well, I'd like to say something man to man. And he says, what's that? I said, I require pen, paper, and ink to answer the court properly. And he says, well, I don't need an answer from you. I'm just giving you a chance to say something. And I said, well, man to man, I'm telling you that man says that the man Scott who's investigating this tells me that there was no man making a claim against me. And that's it. That's the bottom line. The statutes, the codes, the ordinances, those are just a group of elected officials who have an opinion about how things should be done for the efficiency of government, for the good administration of government. And in New Hampshire, where I live, the New Hampshire Constitution, which created that government, specifically says in Article 38 that the legislature and the judiciary are bound to the Constitution to create laws and enforce those laws which are necessary for the good administration of government. Those things aren't created to control men. The reason that we need the statutes and things to be set up and to be available, or to be out there, like the building codes, for instance. The building codes came out in the 1800s. The 1900s, and they were set up because as the townships were being set up, people didn't want their money wasted, so they created building codes for these towns, for the government buildings, for the town buildings to be set up properly and built correctly, because there was no oversight. When you build your own house, you make sure it's done right because you're the one spending the money. But when you have community buildings put up or common buildings put up, then who's going to oversee that stuff? And that's the purpose of statutes. It's for the good administration of government. But the government's role has always been, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, it's stated right there at the beginning. The government is instituted to secure rights. And those rights include life, liberty, property, pursuit of happiness, all these things. So if there's no man making a claim against me, then the government is not protecting somebody's rights or securing somebody's rights. which means they're acting rogue. So there's either a man or a woman making a claim against me, or they're acting for the good administration of government. It's one or the other. And if I'm not part of the government, then that's obviously not what they're doing.
Right. Wow, that's great. It was a learning experience.
Well, it's all stuff I already knew, but to have it all, focus in that 2 or 3 hours to really, zero in and get into my head and get, basically it burned away all the stuff that I thought was important.
Well, I'm glad you got it. You asked for it to be discharged, but they dismissed it.
Well, they didn't dismiss it and they didn't discharge it. The prosecutor chose not to prosecute. So they know it's called null prosecute.
I saw that nolo process, you said?
Yeah, Carl's calling. Hold on just a second.
All right.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Carl said you were going to be on.
Yeah. Did Angela start the call yet?
Yeah, she started the call about 20 minutes ago and asking me about my kids.
Oh, okay.
I unmuted you also, Carl, so we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, what did she ask you so far, Jeff?
We're talking about what happened, what the charges were, how, what kind of paperwork I put in, just the process that I went through.
Yeah. Oh, I guess you got it right.
Well, they know process. They chose not to process. Only 3 weeks after they charged me. Well, they never actually charged me.
There's a heavy duty buzz coming in there.
Yeah. Still on the road, Carl?
Yeah.
You want me to mute you out, Carl, or do you want to be on, or what?
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to try to get Gus on the same time that I was on, just because I didn't want to have to repeat everything that Gus just said. So I honestly don't know what Gus said.
He ran down what had happened with his case.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't want to say something that he didn't want me to say. I don't want to say that how he got arrested. I don't know if he mentioned it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much mentioned everything. I was charged with possession of a firearm, and that carries a felony penalty. And when I went to the bail hearing, they were asking, if I had something to say about the bail conditions, and I told them that there's no man making a claim against me. The man investigating, the man, Scott, who's investigating the case, told me so. He said there is no man making a claim of any kind of harm, injury, or loss. So I required the case discharged. And then the following week, I went for a probable cause hearing. And at the probable cause hearing, the officer testified. That's how I found out what they had found in the back of the car. He went and described it on the stand, but I didn't engage. I didn't question him. He was kind of pissed off, actually.
Finish what you were saying, Gus. You were pissed off. What?
Well, the only thing bad is the way Gus is doing it. He's going so freaking fast that nobody can really understand what you did. It's like you did the bail hearing. You went through that in about 14 and a half seconds. He said that like I said when we were talking on the phone about it. We went in a lot more detail. It's like, what happened when they brought you into the room? What did you say? You require leave of course with paper, pen, and ink.
Yes, I did.
But what I'm saying is, Steve, this is what I'm saying. You're telling the story so fast. I don't know if you're in a rush or like people need to hear. Angela's got 5 freaking hours. People need to hear exactly what you did right and what you did wrong. Not just it was a tremendous victory and you're done. Yeah, how did you do it? Where was the pitfalls? Where was the missteps? What did you do right? What did you do wrong? You see what I'm saying? So you got to just slow it down. This is what I was trying to say to Angela. Just chill out and wait for me to get here so I can talk to Gus. I really don't need somebody to say to Gus, what happened, because he'll just give you the version in 3.7 seconds. It's like, well, wait a second. You got all freaking night. Ain't no freaking hurry. Just take your time and tell the people, like, what happened when you went for the bail hearing. You know, you came out. I don't know if you came out in an orange jumpsuit. I don't know how they brought you out. You know, just tell people what's it like when you go to get charged with something like this. What's the process? You got arrested on a Saturday night or a Sunday or a Monday or something?
Yeah, it was Mother's Day. It was 3 a.m. at the end of Mother's Day.
Okay, so it was a Sunday or Monday morning?
Yeah, Monday morning.
Monday morning, all right. So it was a Monday morning. And they did the fingerprints and all that other good stuff?
Oh, yeah, they brought me down to the station, and they booked me in, took my name, all my information. And
yeah, when they pulled you over, they were very, very nice to you. They didn't draw their guns or scare the shit out of you?
They were very polite. They were really, really cool, actually.
So it's not like this horror stuff that everybody says on Angela's show. The cops will arrest you for having the taillight out. They'll pull you over and they'll arrest you and beat you up and pull a gun on you because you ain't got a taillight, like that other guy said last week. These guys are really nice.
Well, it depends on the cops. They're not all nice.
I'm just asking Gus. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to tone everybody down. I'm not an inflammatory guy. I'm not trying to get people to hate everybody. I'm trying to get you guys to understand that these cops are decent people. You know, they're your brothers, they're your relatives. They're not evil bastards. The Baltimore cops are doing a great job right now by just answering dispatch calls. Thank God. So like I said, I just wanted to get you guys to understand that these cops weren't, going for Gus because Gus has got a show or Gus is outspoken. So they weren't just gunning for this guy and saying, you know what, oh, well, see, Gus stuck his neck out, man. Gus was making himself a name. These cops just pulled him over and arrested him. No, they didn't. They just 3 o'clock in the morning, a couple of guys driving in town. It kind of looks kind of weird driving around that early in the morning. And the cops just want to, obviously, they're doing their job. 3 o'clock in the morning, God bless them. Because I wouldn't pull anybody over at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and this is in a town with a population of about 300,000, so it's not some rinky-dink little place. Yeah, there's some heavy-duty stuff that goes down.
Right. So, like I said, so it was amazing that you're a pretty big-looking man. You're not a peewee. And for them not to, especially one of them was a woman, you said.
Yeah, the lady that pulled me over was she was about 5'5", 5'7", and decent build. But I mean, she didn't panic. She didn't freak out. The other officer that was backing her up is actually the one who saw the firearm and or whatever it was they found, and he got excited at the right up front because he was looking for some quick answers. And when you verbally come at somebody, they tend to make mistakes if there's a mistake to be made.
Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to say, that even though at 3 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden they see 2, men, and you ain't peewees, and they didn't panic. They didn't all of a sudden draw their guns. They get on the ground, lay down, roll over. They didn't any more weapons in the car, any more weapons. They didn't start, doing any crazy shit. They just started talking to you like man on man. They didn't go nuts, did they?
No, they wanted to know what it was there, what the gun was doing there. The other man with me, they pulled me over for not using my left turn signal.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're driving at 3 o'clock in the morning in a city like that, you got to expect to be pulled over because this is what the cops are paid to do. They're paid to secure and protect the property of man at 3 o'clock in the morning. They want to see if these guys are going around selling drugs. Like, what normal man is just driving around at 3 o'clock in the morning? Now, other people could jump my ass right now and just say, look, Carl, everybody's got the right to be let alone. Everybody's got that's right in the private, not in the public. There's what's that ruling that they make all the time? There is no consideration for privacy in the public. You have no right to privacy in the public. None. If you're in the public, you're fair game. You have a certain duty and obligation to that public. If you don't want to do a certain thing, you don't want to bring notice to yourself, don't drive around at 3 o'clock in the morning, look like us. I mean, I don't mind when I get pulled over at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know exactly what those officers are pulling me over for. They want to see if there's a dead body in the trunk. They want to say if there's a goofy guy like me, what am I doing? If I'm a little old lady, Aunt B, obviously they're not going to pull Aunt B over. But I expect them to pull me over. I hope they pull me over. And I hope when people who look like me come through my neighborhood, they pull them over as well. I believe in that. I believe they're doing a damn good job. I'm sorry, I don't bash cops.
Yeah, and this was, this was one street off the main drag in Manchester, New Hampshire. So this wasn't, 8 blocks out of downtown. This was right downtown on at the intersection of 2 major roads.
And it's a real bad area, some of those sections down there. They're really old, run-down sections of New Hampshire. I mean, I've been through some of the neighborhoods where Gus took me, and some of them are rough. So if this guy's driving around in a rough neighborhood at 3 o'clock in the morning, well, gee, guess what? He's not going shopping. He's not going off for a hamburger. What is he cruising for, some action? What's going on? So like I said, all I'm trying to establish is that Gus was treated extremely politely, but in a very intense situation, because if there's 1 gun in the car, there could be 2 guns in the car. If I saw 1 gun, I probably would have drew my weapon on him so fast his head would have spun. I said, don't you even blink. If you got 1, you got 2. I'm not taking my chances. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to predict that you've got 2 weapons. You got 1 gun, you got another gun. Somebody's got the other gun. And I'm going to protect my ass. And Gus said that the people didn't jump him and throw him on the ground and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I said, wow, those cops have, up there in New Hampshire, man, that's nice. That's all right. It's like, that's amazing. And Gus did say a lot of nice things to me, over the couple of weeks about how professional the cops were and how they didn't treat him like a criminal. And even though he's an ex-felon, they could have just said, look, you know better, you're an ex-felon. You're going to go right to jail for this. No get out of jail free, nothing. It's a one-way ticket for an ex-felon. When he gets stopped and he's got a handgun, everybody in this country knows the price an ex-felon pays for having a handgun in his possession. He's right to jail. So, okay, so then that was like a Monday morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then what was the next thing that happened, Gus?
Well, they searched the car and they wanted to know what I knew about the gun. I didn't know squat about it, so we had that discussion. And more cops kept showing up because it's 3 in the morning. It's the only exciting thing going on.
Yeah.
But they were all pretty cool. There's no yelling, no screaming. The first thing they told me is just, put my hands on the steering wheel, and I did, and that was enough to keep things calm. It was no big deal. So, they asked me to step out of the car. I stepped out. They patted me down, searched me, emptied my pockets, went through my stuff, and eventually I got into the paddy wagon, and that's when one of the cops thanked me for being a gentleman, and we went down to the station where they walked me in and booked me, and they didn't squeeze the shit out of the handcuffs. They didn't do nothing. They're just really cool.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. Well, like I said, like I said on my show, whatever, when there's a time to give like an accolade to somebody who's doing a professional job and did it right, I give it to them. If they say if somebody's a horrible, hateful human being, I give it to them as well. But I just wanted everybody to know that you actually were treated them decent. You didn't give them the riot act.
Nope. As a matter of fact, the guy that was with me said, aren't you going to take orders? Aren't you going to do the Karl Lentz stuff? And I was like, dude, it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm not in the mood for that shit. I'm going to bed. I'm going to take the ticket. And, I don't know why I'm being pulled over, but I'm going to take the ticket and go home. I'll deal with this tomorrow morning.
This is what I was trying to say to people. This is why you had to talk slower. Because some people might try this crazy order stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, it depends. If I wasn't so tired, I hadn't really slept a whole lot. And if you're going to do that stuff, you got to do it with a smile on your face. So I wasn't in a pleasant mood. I was already exhausted. It wasn't time for me to try out new things.
You better do it when the cops could have, full visual imagery of, they could see everything coming and going. They could see your hands. They could, you won't make them nervous. You pull this, you just at 3 o'clock in the morning, you just go along with a freaking program. you know, in a bad neighborhood, just go along. Don't play any of this. Oh, is that an order? Is that a command? Oh, I'm a man. I got the right to travel. The United States Supreme Court says this, man. Don't play that nonsense. And this is all I'm trying to say. There's a certain time when you do my stuff, and there's a certain time when you don't. So I'm so sick and tired of people saying, well, Karl, you said to do this. It's like, look, every case is the same, but every case is unique. Every situation that you run into is different. It's like when I say to people, the Supreme Court makes a ruling today. Is Angela against Gus? And this is the way the Supreme Court ruled in that case. So lawyers, the legal society, runs around and they say, oh, well, look at the ruling that they made for Angela versus Gus. Okay, now I get in a similar situation with Karl versus Mark. And Mark tries to say, well, look in the Angela versus Gus case, the Supreme Court ruled this way. It's like, wait a second, I'm not Angela, and you're not Gus. So whatever happened between Angela and Gus in their case, that's between Angela and Gus and whatever judge was sitting at that particular moment of time. I don't really care what happened in Angela versus Gus or Hale versus Hinkle or Roe versus Wade. I don't care. I'm not Mrs. Roe. That's not Mr. Wade. I don't care. But those cases, they had their evidence and their facts, which is completely, has nothing to do with the evidence and facts that I'm going to bring before the court today. So when they all start yelling out, especially the lawyers and legal people, say, oh, well, look at, Harris versus Jones in 2007. It's like, do I look like Mr. Harris? Are you Mr. Jones? No. Then why are you bringing up some irrelevant material at this time? What are you going on about? You know, I'm sure the evidence and the facts back in 1997 have, were not the same or exactly the same on what's being presented to the court at this time. So why are you bringing up some ridiculous case law, some ridiculous precedent? Because my name is not Mr. Harris. I'm not Roe. I'm not Wade. I'm not Andrew. I'm not Gus. I'm Karl Lentz. Now, who's making a claim I've done something wrong? Or where's their evidence and where's their facts? Because it's unique. Every case is supposed to be determined on its merits of the case. That case, those facts, that evidence, not what happened in 2005, not what happened in 1902. I don't care. And this is what I'm trying to make such an effort to get people to understand, that stop worrying of what case law or precedent was set 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 200, 2,000 years ago. Who cares? It's irrelevant to what's going on in your case because you're a man and that's another man. What happened between me and him is what happened between me and him. So, okay, Gus, you said that you just pick up where you left off then.
Okay, I'm eating a burrito.
Damn. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to remember where you were at, man. You're saying that you were in a paddy wagon, they treated you really nice, and he said, thank you for acting like a gentleman. And then what happened? You went through the process.
Well, yeah, I went through the booking process, which is where they take your name, make sure they have your correct information, and fingerprint you and go through that, that whole booking process. And then they asked me if I wanted to speak to a bail commissioner or if I wanted to speak to a magistrate, what was my preference. And I told them that I required to speak to a magistrate as soon as possible. And then they put me in a cell, and they woke me up a few hours later.
So you wanted to go for a magistrate, and what happened there?
Yeah, went to a magistrate for a bail hearing, and the prosecutor read the charges in my past history, my criminal record, and told the judge because of my history, because of the charges against me, they wanted a $5,000 surety or surety bond or cash. And the judge asked me what I had to say about that, and if I wanted to say anything about that. And I told him I required paper, pen, and ink for leave of court so that I can properly answer the court. And he said, I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just going to give you an opportunity to say something if you have anything to say. And I said, well, I'd like to say something to you man to man. And he says, you can do that as long as the prosecutor is present. I said, all right, well, man to man, I'm letting you know that Scott, the man who's investigating this case, tells me that no one is making a claim that I have caused them harm, injury, or loss, so I require this case discharged. And he says, all right. And then he gave the bail papers over to the lady who the I don't know if she's with the sheriff's department, but she's part of the security. And she walked me out back and told me to sign the paperwork, which I signed.
Okay, let's just slow down here a second, okay? So when you actually leave a court for paper, pen, and ink, what did the magistrate say?
He says, I don't need an answer from you.
Okay, and then remember what I said to you? It's like you say that's very good and well that you don't need an answer from me. I'm addressing this court. I am not addressing you. I am addressing the court. I would like to answer the court. Are you the court? And he'd be like, well, no, I'm just the magistrate. That's right. You're just one of the elements of this court. If we're in no hurry, unless was there somebody in line behind you that had to be processed?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, like sometimes they bring in like a chain gang and they just, process it like 50 people. You could have just said, can I step to the side and can I have leave of court for let the next person go in front so I properly, put a proper, so I can address this court in a proper manner. I just want to address this court in a proper manner. I wish for, to address the court in paper, pen, and ink. I do not want any miscommunications. I don't want anybody to perceive that I said something, in contempt. I just wish to place, I wish to address the court with paper, pen, and ink.
Is that what you did, Gus?
No, let me just finish that before you jump in. What I was trying to say is, if they try to tell you that at this time, that's not, that I'm not looking for an answer from you right now. What I was explaining to Gus, what to say to Gus then was to say to them, tell them that you require. Say, I'm not asking, I'm not begging permission, I'm not requesting. I require of this court to give I, a man, leave, so I can address this court in a proper manner. This is not my court. I wish to address it in a proper manner. And the big thing is you have to get a piece of paper in immediately, because the prosecutor or whoever looks at it next, Gus's piece of paper would have been the very first thing that they would have saw, and then they would have saw the charges. They would have, the charges would have came after. So no matter who read it, next they would have said, "Holy cow, we got a man here." Holy cow, look at this piece of paper up here. This piece of paper says, I, a man, require of this court to bring a man or woman forward who's claimed to have done wrong. And that's it. And just submit that piece of paper and say to the judge, that's it? That's all you do? He said, yes, I just require of this court to bring any man or woman forward to make a claim I've done wrong. And the judge will say, okay, duly noted. I'll take it on advisement or whatever. And at least it's filed because you gave it to the judge and it's already filed. He's also a clerk. He's got to take whatever present you give him, and he's got to put it in a file. So then no matter who reads it next, they'll see that you immediately address the court. You didn't wait 6 months. You didn't wait to get a lawyer. You didn't wait a week or two. You immediately, as soon as they come at you, you got to come back at them, because they're coming at you with a paper charge. They're coming at you with something, a statute. They're not coming at you with something, you see what I'm saying? They're coming at you with paper, pen, and ink. You have to fight them with paper, pen, and ink. They're not bringing a man into the courtroom to battle you. They're bringing paper, pen, and ink into the courtroom to battle you. So what you're doing is you're saying that this is a lovely battle that you want me to fight. You want me to fight a paper, pen, and ink battle. Okay, but you know what? With my paper, pen, and ink, I am going to convert this to man-on-man battle. I'm bringing it to, trial by combat. I don't have to do it by trial by ordeal. I'm going to take the man on, head on, one-on-one. So, bring the man forward or the woman forward who made the claim, I've done something wrong. And to say there is no man or woman bringing a claim form, say then, I wish of this case to be discharged in its entirety. And you could write that down too. If the judge says there is no man or woman who, has, brought a charge against you as wrong. I said, okay. Then you could say, I require leave of court again. Or you could put it down in the first thing. You could say, I require this court to bring a man or woman forward who makes a claim I've done wrong. If no man or woman will come forth, I require this court to discharge this matter in its entirety immediately. You could do something like that. So, Gus, were you the one who's telling me that maybe you should keep something like that in your back pocket so that way they can't take away legal documents from you or paperwork from you when you're locked up?
Yeah. Whenever, one thing I've learned from having been arrested and gone through this process a few times is if you claim you've got legal documentation on you, they cannot take it away from you. So, for anybody who's not sure, it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to do it again. Is to have something written up that you just keep on you, and when they take your money out of your pocket and they inventory all your stuff, they're not going to inventory your legal papers, your lawful documents. You can keep those with you, so you can definitely have a laminated card and just keep that in your pocket at all times. It has all those things on it that you want to bring, put forth onto the case before it goes any further.
Yeah. You see, this is what I'm trying to say, and this is why I just wanted to go a lot slower, because there's a lot of information Gus and I talked about for a couple of weeks leading up to the no-law process week. So I just wanted to take it a lot slower than just everything. Congratulations, Gus, it's over. Yeah, right. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. There's a lot of trepidation. There's a lot of fear. It wasn't that quick. It wasn't that simple. It wasn't that easy. This isn't a game. This wasn't one page done. You went through the booking process, the bail hearing, and then your dad, you forgot to tell him, you cannot be discharged, I know, in the United States unless the property owner signs you out. So what happened?
Say that again, Carl?
In the United States, no matter when I've been, there needs to be a property. Somebody who owns property has to sign you out.
Yes.
Okay, explain to them. So people never been arrested, Gus. This is what I'm trying to explain to them exactly the minutiae of every single thing that's going to happen. So what happened then after the bail hearing?
Well, your bail conditions are set, and you either got personal recognizance or you have something a little heavier involving cash or surety. And, once it escalates to a felony, now you're looking for somebody to back you up who owns property that's willing to put their property on the line as collateral should you take off, should you run. So my dad had to come in, and because I don't have any property, my dad came in and he signed off and put his house up as collateral for the $5,000 should I take off.
Right, and this is what I tell people too. Thank you, Gus, because that's really important. Like I said, a lot of people might not have got arrested, like you and I, so they don't understand what they're looking at. So what I tell people all the time, if you really want to protect yourself from being arrested, one of the best things to do is go out and buy 3 inches of land, buy 6 inches of land, because it doesn't matter. They don't never ask the landowner, how much land do you have? They just want to know if you have something deeded to you, which I think is hysterical. They said, do you have any land deeded to you here in this county? And you say, no. They say, do you know anybody who owns land that's deeded to them? Well, yes, but I really don't want to wake them up at 3 o'clock in the morning and ask them to come down here and sign it. I think they're going to be pretty pissed. It's like, well, that's the only way you're getting out, or you're going to spend, until your trial, day of trial. So I tell people, look to see if the easiest way is to buy the minimum amount of land in your community. If Gus had 3 square feet of land, Gus could have signed himself out. You see what I'm saying, Gus? Ain't that funny?
Oh, yeah, it totally makes sense. I've never thought of it that way, but...
And this is why I'm bringing it. So that's why I'm doing it little by little, slowly by slowly, because all the years that I've been dealing with the law and dealing with being arrested and being signed out, I've taken something and noticed that, you know what, I've never noticed them ask the property owner, how much is your property valued at? How big is your house? All they want to know is, are you a landowner? It doesn't say 3 square inches of land. So like, you know what? I bet you if I own 3 square inches of land, they would never ask. They'd just say, yes, do you have any land in this property? Yes, I do. And they'd, find out, yep, he owns land. Register.
Wait a minute. Did they ask you that, Gus?
No, they asked me if I knew anybody that would sign for me. They didn't ask me if I had any. They wanted somebody else involved, but it had to be somebody that had property to put up.
It had to be it had to be a property owner. Actually, it has to be somebody who owns land.
What they did ask me is if what I had for collateral. So right. I told them I had 3 cars that were paid off, and I could put them up. And they said, "What else you got? What else you got?" So they didn't ask me if I had land?
Right. If Gus said he had land, they would have said, "Oh, so you're a landowner here in the county?" When the Constitution of the United States first got started, there was all kinds of electoral conditions to place a ballot, to vote. And one of the number one things, which I think is super important, was you had to be a landowner. The freeloaders could not vote in the United States. People on welfare could not vote because obviously 90% of the people don't own land. So obviously, since you don't have a stake in the game, since you don't have a claim in the game, since you don't have anything to lose, why should you be allowed to vote? So what happened, this is what I learned, I think it was in a little Iowa or Kansas, they still had that law in the books. So what the people were doing, they were selling 1 square inch of land to like all poor black people in town so they could be landowners. So then when I heard about that story, I said, well, wait a second. Maybe we could use this 1 square inch rule, just the mere fact that you're a landowner, to help you get out of jail. So instead of having to call up a relative at 3 o'clock in the morning, so they kept asking Gus, what else you own, what else you own, what else you own. He could say he owned the Hope Diamond. Honestly, they don't care. They're waiting for him to say he owned land. Because, like, you're attached to the county. You know, man and land are one. So they think you're not a flight risk because you are established here. You got your roots here. This is where you're from. You're not going to leave it. People are never going to walk away from their land. That's the most, like, valuable thing that you can own is land. So that's what I'm just saying. I'm just trying to emphasize certain things about Gus's because I'll never get a chance to talk about stuff like this unless somebody else gets arrested and gets on your show. But at least Gus and I get along fine, and I can interrupt him, and he's not, going to get all upset. I'm interrupting every 5 seconds he's saying something. Okay, so your dad came down. He signed for you out.
Yeah, the bail conditions were set on that Monday morning around 10 o'clock or so, and I was not allowed to make a phone call till about 10 o'clock that night. So I called my dad up. I told him what was going on, and he came down the next morning and signed me out. I had already met with a bail bondsman and had given her the information. So she had contacted my dad. I contacted my dad. So in the morning he came over, and I was out of there by noon on Tuesday morning.
All right, that's good. And then, obviously, what happened next? You go home, and how soon did you start? Like, how soon did you let me know? Do you remember?
I think I took as soon as I turned my phone on, I took a picture of the charges against me and I sent them to you. So
okay.
It was probably that day.
Okay, and so like I said, you basically started to get into gear immediately. You didn't wait around. You were going to go proactive pretty fast? Yeah,
I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. It was within a couple of days. I had notice in the court stating that, that there was a bail hearing that the man had come forward to make a claim that I had stated such at the bail hearing, and that I did tell the man Bob, I think his name was Lawrence, I'm not sure what his name was, but I did tell Bob that there was no man making a claim and that I did require the case discharged, and yet it was not discharged, and I put some kind of notice in right away within the first couple of days. I had the probable cause hearing was the following Tuesday. So
okay, but like I said, what I'm saying, you gave a notice, so that's good. So like I'm almost basically trying to say is you basically gave a simple 1-sentence, 2-sentence notice. What did your notice look like? Was it 50 lines? What was it?
The notice was basically 2 or 3 sentences saying that there was a bail hearing on such and such a day, that I did appear. I did state that there was no man making a claim against me, and
you did appear as a man.
I appeared as a man,
right?
And that no man came forward to make it against me. Right. It was a basic, real basic notice. I mean, there was no. It didn't take. It probably took up a quarter of a page.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to get people to understand that you don't have to explain what happened that night. You don't have to explain any of that. That was my friend's gun. It wasn't my gun. Yes, I was the driver. Yes, I was in a vehicle. Yes, it was, you don't got to explain them. And they already got all that from the police report. All you basically saying is, look, I appeared in court that morning as a man. I asked the court if there's any man present and make a claim I've done wrong. No man appeared. I require you to discharge this case immediately or bring a man forth immediately. Either, one of two options. Either you bring that man and make the claim immediately, within the next 72 hours, or discharge this case in its entirety. I mean, none of that 72-hour stuff was in there, but you know what I'm saying. You kind of had an idea. You were doing it.
Yeah, it was real basic. And then before the probable cause hearing, I put in 2 other notices. One notice that there was a man bearing false witness against me, and another notice that the lady that had pulled me over was interfering with my right to travel, and that I required, I think actually there was a third notice that I put in, restating that no man had come forward, and that I required a man to come forward at that hearing on that day. I believe it was the 19th maybe. I think it was on the 19th they went to court, and that I required a man to show up on the 19th to make a claim, or that this case should be discharged, or that I required it discharged.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think it was
the only thing different that I would have done that you did is I would have never put in a claim that the woman interfered in my right to travel, because to me she's doing her job, and I'd say this woman who is acting as a police officer did her job and did it quite well, and I appreciate what she did. She treated me with utter respect, and she was a perfect perfect lady, at all times, but that still does not negate the fact that they took me and they incarcerated, for a claim that does not exist.
Well, one of the reason I had put that in there is when I looked up the statute on the felony charge, there was an element to it because it involved a motor vehicle, and anything within reach of the man or woman driving the car is considered constructive possession.
Okay, that's a little bit different than I do. I would never look at the statute to try to use that as my defense. I would put it in a 4-corner bracket, and I'd say I was transporting my property from point A to point B. And not only do I believe there's nothing wrong in doing that, I believe that there's a statute that maintains that if I'm in a motorized vehicle, blah, 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 blah. But I would do that in a 4-corner bracket.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? I would not go, because, okay, the big thing is when you answer them in Latin, when you answer them in legalese, when you answer them in Chinese, you're under their jurisdiction.
Yeah, but I didn't use any part of the statute. All I said was, all I did notice that my right to travel was interfered with, and if that had not, I didn't go on to explain anything. I just made the statement. And it was
to me, I don't have a right to travel. My rights are unlimited. You see, I don't use a word like travel. It's like when I say to people all the time, when they say the judge is just messing with you, because the word travel, if you go back to the etymology of the word, might mean absolutely nothing about taking your property from point A to point B. It might have to do with some sort of taxation process. Travel might mean all kinds of convoluted nonsense. So that the legal society, decides. It's like when they say, the judge tries to say so, like they did with Jesse and Jonathan. And they said, well, we don't like calling it a property. We want you to call it a child. And Jesse said, okay. The judge was so nice to me, Carl. They gave us lemonade. We actually changed it to child. And it's like, you crazy bimbo. I said, I told you the word is property. Leave it property. Let it lie the way I presented it to the court. I said, a child is a crown that you wear on top of your head. So when you go to court and say, I'm looking for my child, it's like, what, you look for a crown on top of your head? Oh, somebody stole my child. Oh, that lady over there robbed me of my child. What, you had a crown on top of your head? They're using these words like, say, well, if somebody stole my kid, what, are you looking for a baby goat? What do you mean, your kid? Oh, you mean your child? You mean the crown on my head? No. I'm talking about my effing property. That's what I'm talking about, property. It only means one thing. You can't convolute it. You can't distort it. You can't twist it. You can't reshape it. You people are word manipulators. You guys just live on, this legal mumbo jumbo bull. You're not messing with me. And that's why I tell people, only go to court like the Bali's claim that I put into the one in England. 8 words. If I'm doing it in 8 words, why are you guys doing it in 9 words? I can master 8 words really well. and I could carry those 8 words for the rest of my life. And anybody could say anything in court, well, what about this, Carl? What about this? And I'll just keep going back to the same claim. I, a man, claim the wrong of trespass. That's it. What's the trespass? See Exhibit A. What was Exhibit A? The police report. That was you. You could have just put the lady's police report down as Exhibit A. I want to make a claim of a trespass. And there you go. The right to be, I wish to be let alone, or I wish to go from point A to point B. See Exhibit A. Clearly shows that I was not allowed to go from point A to point B. That ability was hampered by this lady's actions. But like I said, she was a police officer. God bless her that she did a freaking job. Look what's happening in Baltimore right now. Thank God this is what's happening in Baltimore right now. Thank the Lord that the cops are refusing to just pull people over anymore. They don't care. They're like, you know what? We don't care if you guys shoot each other, kill each other. We don't care anymore. Go ahead and rob everybody. We don't care. Until we're dispatched, we don't care. And this is what I said to people a million times. If you go back to my show, and I say to people all the time, I had an uncle, his name was Gary Puma, and he was an officer in New York City. And when he walked the beat with me, I walked the beat with him. And he showed me, his jurisdiction, his precinct that he walked in, and he walked the beat. So say we were on 11th Avenue and 42nd Street, and he looked across the street, and he said, you see that little old lady with that black man? I said, yeah. What happens if that black man grabs her pocketbook and runs? What do we do? I said, well, duh. Obviously, we go chase the black man. He says, no. First of all, I told you, this is our precinct, the south side of 42nd Street, not the north side. If we cross over that line, we're in somebody else's precinct. So first of all, we're out of our jurisdiction. We have no right to be over there. That's not within our control. I said, but wait a second. What if the little old lady starts screaming? He says, perfect question. He says, you think this is freaking Starsky and Hutch? You think we chase bad guys? You think that's what we do here in New York City? This is what the police officers do? I said, well, of course. He says, no. He said, because what's going to happen is I'm going to chase Jesse Owens. And back then, the cops wore funny shoes. They didn't wear, like, trainers or tennis shoes or sneakers, whatever you guys call them. He said, I'm never going to catch that guy. That guy is going to blister down 42nd Street, 8th Avenue. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to come back. And he was walking me down, in the summertime. He says, that's when I had vacation. I'd come into New York City and I'd hang out with my family in the city in the summers. He said, I'm going to come back, put down 42nd Street, huffing and puffing, wheezing, and, the captain's going to be here, the shift commander's going to be down here, and the jewelry store that was standing right here in front of us right now called got robbed. And then they're going to say, where were you? Why were you all the way down to 42nd Street? Where were you? Were you going humping the whores? What were you doing? No. Then why are you all sweaty? Why are you all out of breath? No. I was chasing this black guy who robbed the little old lady. Where's the little old lady? Well, she was right here a couple of minutes ago. Oh, really? Where's she now? Did you have an affidavit? Did she file a police report? Were you dispatched? And he said he'd have to say no. He says, you know what's going to happen, Carl? He says they're gonna bust me. They're gonna bust me down. He says they're gonna keep breaking me down until I just wait until I'm dispatched. He said the little old lady could have been part of the burglary. That she was she was supposed to know when I was going to come around the corner. I come around the corner at 12 o'clock every day. She was going to get robbed in front of this jewelry store. The black guy was going to run, and I was going to chase him. And then all his buddies and all her buddies were going to come in and rob the store because I'm out of my position. He says, I don't know how to explain this to you. We don't act until we're dispatched. He says, because the only thing it is just being bad news. He says, we can't win. In New York City back in the 70s, late 60s, the police could not win. They could do nothing right without being charged with discrimination, being called a racist. Their life was holy hell. So they said, you know what? We're not getting involved. When you need us, call us. When you need us, file an affidavit. So if you ever watch the old Barney Miller TV shows, that's basically what is the little old ladies would come in all the time. It's like, why won't anybody do anything? It's like, nope, first we have to file out a form and triplicates, and then you got to take it downstairs and process it. They're like, wait a second, all I want to do is report my pocketbook got stolen. And they look at a stack, it's like 6 feet high. Yeah, well, when we get through that stack, we'll start working on your case. Okay? And so that's what the Baltimore cops are starting to do now. They're saying, you know what? 6 cops are sitting in jail right now because some guy decided to not wear a seatbelt in a paddy wagon. Maybe the paddy wagon guy drove a little fast. Who knows? But for some reason, the guy broke his neck because the guy was bouncing all around the back of the patio. But now 6 cops are sitting in jail. And the lady who, that black lady, the chief of police or whatever she is down there, tried to make these 6 cops look like they're animals. But she gave out a memo a day or 2 earlier saying, do whatever is in your power. Do whatever is necessary to secure that street corner. Bust the people down. Do whatever you got to do to stop that drug trafficking trade going on down there. Do whatever in your power that you possess to clean up that area. So they were just doing what she told them to do. And then once they did it and somebody got hurt, all of a sudden she says, oh, no. They should have never done that. They were way out of bounds. They should have never, been stopping people, checking to see if they had a knife on them. It's like, wait a second, lady, you just gave us a memo a couple of days ago, told us to stop everybody and break everybody down there and do whatever we have, in our power to do to make that area secure. So the cops have realized, you know what? We're just going to move when we're dispatched. You know what? We're not going to do a damn thing until somebody files a report, and then we're going to play it to the letter of the law. So you're either going to have communities that, the police are going to stop you at 3 o'clock in the morning and search your vehicle, or you're going to have, where everybody's just going to start cruising the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning, start shooting them up and say, oh, do you hear gunfire? No, it sounds like my uncle would say, nope, it sounds like rain. And that's what my uncle said to me. He says, what happened if this lady was, and this black guy, same scenario, what happened if all of a sudden they stop and start having sex? What do we do? He said, well, you go over there and pull the black guy off the white lady. He says, no, because that's probably her boyfriend, and she's got this bucket thing to-do list before she dies that she always wanted to have sex with some black guy on 42nd Street. And next thing you know, you're pulling the black guy off of her, and she's pulling out a handgun and blowing it out the back of your brains. He says, look, we don't get involved. I mean, they actually made a movie about that in the 1970s, how the people in New York City do not see anything. They don't get involved. They don't want, because they're going to become liable. It's like you see something, you're going to be a witness, you're going to be asked to testify in court. It's just not worth it. Just don't get involved. So that's what's going to start spreading, like in cities like Baltimore, is apathy. The people are just going to stop caring. And like I said, you'd think it's bad that the cop stops you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, go live in a city like I did. It was a lot of fun for a kid to live in a city where there's no law and order, where it's just total wide open 1970s stuff. Go watch like some shows from the 1970s and what New York City was like. What a little hellhole. But it was a lot of fun for a little devil like me to be running around New York City in the 1970s because anything went. It was wide open. The cops didn't care. They didn't stop anything until that Giuliani guy came in, and then he cleaned up New York City. Now it's Disneyland. But I remember when I was a kid, what a lot of fun, just living in a little crazy land like that. But everybody's scared shitless of being in New York City, once the sun went down. It was a zoo.
Are we done with Gus's case? Or
no, I just broke off into a tirade because we got time to kill, and I really ain't got much to talk about.
Well, we've got 6 people in line waiting to ask questions. We've got Native Americans.
Yeah, but like I said, they're going to ask me questions, and like I said, that's the really good thing about me being the host or whatever, guest or whatever, is I just wanted to explain what was happening to Gus. And the cops treated him good. The prosecutor treated him all right. So Gus went to a preliminary hearing whether or not he should be indicted before the grand jury. And Gus put a couple of notices in before he went to that hearing. So go ahead, Gus, you can pick it up.
Well, at the probable cause hearing, the officer that had seen the gun testified to what he saw, and the judge asked me if I had anything to ask the officer, and I didn't answer him. I waited an extra 3 or 4 seconds, and I looked at at Bob and said, is there a man here that's making a claim against me of harm, injury, or loss? Have I caused a man harm, injury, or loss? And he looked at me and said, I can't give you, he said, sorry, sir, but I cannot give you legal advice. So I said, well, is the plaintiff going to appear? Is the plaintiff here today? And he said, I'm sorry, sir, I cannot give you legal advice. And I said, well, is this a court of record? And he says, well, we are recording, so yes, this is a court of record. And I actually started laughing. I said, you realize a court of record proceeds under common law, correct? And I should have given him the opportunity to answer that question, but I kept on talking and seeking the plaintiff, seeking the man who was making an accusation against
Well,
him.
you were nervous. You were nervous. It makes sense.
Yeah, but that was a huge mistake. I really wish I would have waited to him on that one.
Of course, you could have just said, I'm not giving you legal advice. I said, sir, I don't, I'm not, if you believe you have a legal person before you, you're in error. The only thing that you have before you is a man. There is no legal person. There is no defendant before you. What you're witnessing is a man. And I'm calling you out. I'm addressing you as a man. I am not addressing you as the prosecutor. I'm addressing you as a man.
Yes, and I did say that. I told him that I was a man in common law at all times, that I evoked common law, and I required for the man who was making a claim against me to come forward.
Yeah, that's good. And what did they say? Was it say duly noted or anything? Did anybody make any mention of it, or did he just look away?
Nothing came out of his mouth except he just kept repeating, "I can't give you legal advice."
Yeah, right. But then you don't know how to say to him. It's like, say to him, all you had to do is look at it and say legal advice. So, are you making a claim that you are a legal person? And he would have said yes. And you say, what legal person, do you appear to be? And it's on the prosecutor's case. It's like, okay, well, I'm looking for a man who's making a claim I've done something wrong. That's the court that I'm in. I'm in a court where a man has to appear and make a claim I've done something wrong. I'm not in a legal, this is a legal procedure. Oh, I'm not a legal person. I'm sorry, you got the wrong person. I'm not a legal person. I'm only a man. But that's okay. But like I said, man, but the best kind of stuff like that is always put it in writing way before you get there. It's like I said, it's just like Van Halen when they would always say they want blue M&Ms before they'd appear. All you had to do is put the terms and conditions in which you were going to appear at that preliminary hearing. I will appear as a man, and I'm going to require this court to bring forth a man to claim that I've done something wrong. Then another notice could be like, I'm not a legal person. I'm not a Boy Scout. I'm not a person of the Boy Scout Society. I'm not a person of the Girl Scout Society. I don't understand Boy Scout code. I don't understand legal code. I am not a legal person. I'm not a Boy Scout person. I am not a member in good standing in the Boy Scout Society. I haven't paid my dues. I'm 51. I haven't paid my dues in 37 years. I'm not a member of the Legal Society. I'm not in good standing in the Legal Society because I'm 51, and I've never paid dues in 51 years. I am not a member of the Legal Society. So if you're looking for a legal person known as Karl Lentz, it's not I.
Well, that was that third notice that I couldn't remember what was on it. That's what was on it. The notice said that I am a man. But yeah, I am a man before this court, without representation, without title, an idiot to legalese and to the customs of a legal society, and I am only here to answer any claims against me.
Okay, that's about 3 or 4 notices that should have been. That third one should have been broken down into 6.
Wow.
It should have been 4, 5, 6. One should have explained, that gave notice that you're not an idiot, that you are an idiot and legally. Sorry about that. The next one should have been that you're a man. The next one should have been this. Everything has got to be an itemized bill. The bill's got to be standalone. It's just like when they try to pass a bill through Congress. You should know this. You love legislative crap. They will just jam so much crap into that bill, and hopefully it'll squeak through. And then if somebody catches that through the bill, that bill gets slowed down. It's like, oh, no. Now it's got to go through committees, now it's got to, no. How about we just make a nice little simple bill that goes through Congress in 2 seconds? All kids on the school bus should wear a seatbelt. Who's going to argue that? Nobody. Let's let it go through. You're going to say all kids should wear seatbelts on a school bus, and I'm not a legal person and I'm an idiot in legalese? Well, that's going to start convoluting things and start getting discussions and arguments and no. How about we just do one notice at a time? How about we first say I'm an idiot. Then the next notice is okay, I'm a man. Next notice is, I'm not a legal person. Stuff like that. Just one, boom, boom, boom. That's why if you look at my paperwork, that's exactly what I did. Boom, 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 boom. One notice at a time. That's what I said to people. I said, oh, you think my case was dismissed? Oh, really? I said, what makes you think my case was dismissed by the United States District Court? I said, why don't you actually read what the magistrate wrote when he dismissed it. really telling is read the paperwork I put into the court before he dismissed it. I told that magistrate, I said, you've got about 24 hours to dismiss the United States complaint. I did not file a complaint. You should have never opened my case. It was not open for the inspection of the United States District Court. It was for the jury's eyes only. You better close that case. You better dismiss the case, and you better pull the United States District Court out of my case immediately, or I'm going to hold you personally liable for trespass on my case. He dismissed my case in lightning speed. The next morning I woke up, it was dismissed. I said, thank God. And everybody says, well, look, Carl, your case was dismissed. Read the paperwork that I put in the day before it was dismissed. Read what I wrote to the magistrate that he better dismiss. He better pull the United States District Court out of my case. It's not their case. It's my case. It's my suit that I'm going to try on before the jury, not before a magistrate, not before a judge. I'm going to try on my case. It's going to be opened. It's to be sealed until I bring it into the court and I present it to the jury. Nobody, no clerk, no judge, no magistrate better tamper with my case. They better not trespass it. I don't want to hear your opinion on my case. I don't want to hear nothing. This case is to go before by a trial by jury only. So you better get your fingers out of it. You better tell the clerks to keep their fingers out of it. You better keep your opinions to yourself, and you better pull the United States District Court out of it, because I am not submitting it to the United States District Court. It is the Lentz Court that happens to be occupying that public courthouse at this time under federal rules, not United States District Court rules. There's a difference between being under federal rules and United States District Court rules. Huge difference. So just with that little thing I wrote to them, next thing you know, the U.S. Marshals are looking for me. And when I explained to the U.S. Marshal, thank God they had one who went through law school, and he said, this is brilliant. This is unbelievable what you did. This is just like genius. He says, holy cow, this is so simple, it's scary. I said, yeah, this is why they're so scared. He said, yes, because your claim looks ridiculous. It's like full of minds. This is, when you show us, like, she start run. It's like, me Tarzan, you Jane steal bone, give back bone. It's like, this sounds like, this is so benign. Yes, unless you're a judge, unless you're a magistrate, and you know exactly what I wrote. I am bringing the wrath of man, God, down upon the public servants, upon my creation. They work for me. So it's like, wow. And then he finally started to understand. So thank God, like I said, that's why I don't give don't bash police all the time, don't bash the U.S. Marshal Service, because I've ran into a lot of good cops. My uncle was a great cop. This U.S. Marshal down here was great, U.S. Marshal, and he said that, please call, that you're getting children back from parents, that's fine, but can you do something with little old ladies in foreclosures because they can't pay their hospital bills or their husband died and they're in debt? We got to throw little old ladies out of their farmhouses out here, and it breaks our hearts. Can you help little old ladies? I said, look, all I want to do is help women and children. I don't want to help little old ladies. I already got a family. I got too much on my plate. Please don't burden me with helping people with credit cards or foreclosures, or I just don't want to deal with it. I said, look, if I can make some time to try to figure out how to keep people in their homes, I'll make some time. But honestly, I just want to help people get back their property, get back their kids. And he says, well, I'd appreciate it if you, help people, stay in their homes from these bankers. I said, okay. So like I said, I don't want to hear that these U.S. Marshals are just evil bastards, because they even want the bankers to stop doing what they're doing and driving people out of their homes based on foreclosures. So, and believe me, I have cops who call me up from all over the country telling me they have IRS problems. And there should be a cop from Chicago listening to us tonight. But he never wants me to call him out and say he's a cop. But he's got IRS problems, and they're coming after him too. So they're just normal people. There's a
gentleman on from West Virginia that says that he had 3 charges dismissed on June 8th, thanks to Karl. I was arrested on December 21st and charged with obstructing an assault. Karl helped me to settle the matter in private.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, it was funny. See this, I'm grateful that it worked out good for him, but it was funny. I don't know how much longer it was before. I wish you guys, when you guys get a win or a victory doing like my stuff, you guys write to me immediately, or send me the paperwork immediately. Gus did. I think Gus, as soon as he got the no low prosecution, I think Gus took a picture and sent it out immediately. But let's finish with Gus, though. Okay, Gus, so you went to this preliminary hearing to whether or not you were going to be indicted, and the judge did what?
The judge bound it over to Superior Court for the county prosecutor to take over the case.
Okay. And then?
So I had written up a letter to Bob, the man acting as judge, requiring to know what findings of facts and conclusions of law he based his determination on for finding probable cause. And when I went to file that notice, that letter, I went to the court to give it to his clerk. And when I got there, they told me the case was bound over and that he would never see it. So I told him I wanted it put into the case anyway. And then I made extra copies, and I went to the other courthouse where it had been over to, and I made sure that same letter, which I had put into the first court, which is a district court, also was entered into that Superior Court. And then I checked the case file to make sure the case file was complete. And there were some notices missing, and I did have some with me. So I had copies from the district court. So I had brought them over and made sure that the case file was complete over at Superior Court.
That's cool. That's cool. You saw some missing, so yeah, that's great. Well, what happened when they were saying that they wanted to bring it over to a grand jury? What happened there?
Well, the day I got to the Superior Court was the day the case file got there. So what I did is I put those notices in that had not been carried over. And then I took a copy of those and I brought them over to the prosecutor's office, the county prosecutor's office, with a handwritten letter to the prosecutor that I had written that day, letting the prosecutor know that I required to speak with him about the harm that this case was causing me, and I wanted to meet face to face. So I brought that letter over to him, and I wanted. The letter also said that I wanted to speak with him about presenting my case to the grand jury against the man who was bearing false witness against me. And there was a few other things in there, but it also said that the letter and the notices and everything was going to be courtesy copied over to the grand jury foreman. And I never had a chance to get back and do that. I got a letter in the mail the next, I think it was 2 days later, where they had no problem.
Okay, Gus, so what was funny is that I remember that what we left off was you were going to be indicted by the grand jury. And we were talking about it, and we said we are going to go talk to the grand jury because you start reading me the riot act about how grand juries are to convene, remember?
Yes, we had talked about the grand juries.
And I said to you, what did I say to you about the grand jury? Do you remember?
Find out what rules they acted under, whether it was legislative rules, if it was statutory law, what
was it constitutional grand jury? Was it a legal grand jury? Was it a statutory grand jury? Was it a common law grand jury? Was it a constitutional grand jury? Just because you have a jury, is it a maritime, commercial? How are they moving this grand jury? Under what procedures? Under what rules? So you were getting ready to go find out this from the foreman of the grand jury, or you were going to try to make go talk to at least the receptionist or something.
Well, what I was going to do is get back to the jury clerk who schedules the juries and the grand juries. But before I did that, I wanted to read up so I had some kind of head knowledge about what I was talking about. So I contacted some friends that are familiar with juries and grand juries, and I asked them to send me, what they thought I should read, and I did my own research. So I spent about 4 days researching the grand juries, and the case got discharged in that time. Not discharged, it got malprocessed in that time. So that's something I still have yet to follow up on. I'm going to be, it's one of the things I need to do as soon as I get back to New Hampshire. But I never did find out.
Well, what I'm saying, I'm glad that Yeah, I was not hoping that this was going to drag on for Gus, but I would have loved it for this to drag on for Gus because I really wanted to get into the grand jury, with Gus because I knew he was competent enough to really just I could act through him, I could say, well, now Gus, let's try this. Now Gus, try that. Now let's try this. Now let's try that because I always wanted somebody competent enough to try it out with, let's see if this works, And like I said, when I filed that lawsuit in the United States District Court like that, when I filed in federal court, I just did that on a day on one of the shows. Somebody said to me, well, Carl, can you show us how to file a federal suit? And it's not a United States civil rights complaint. I said, absolutely. I said, I'm not really ready to move my suit yet, but you know what? I could file it, and you know what? I could pursue it, or my children could pursue it, my grandchildren could pursue it. You know what? I'll at least file it. It'll just be a couple of sentences. I'll file it, and I'll pursue it when I got time. He said, but you know what? You want to see how it's done? I'll show you how it's done. Because I couldn't find anybody who wanted to file a federal lawsuit that understood the difference between a United States District Court and a federal court. Because there's federal courts in Canada, there's federal courts in Mexico, there's federal courts in China. There's a difference between a federal court and a United States District Court. It's not the freaking same. And I got so tired of trying to help people file things into federal court instead of United States court. I said, you know what? I am going to do it myself. I am going to show you people how to file it. They're going to try to convert it over into United States District Court. They're going to try to take control over it, and they're going to try to stylize it as a complaint. And you're going to see how I'm going to jump all over their behinds and say, you better keep your fingers off of my claim. You better not convert it to a complaint. I'll forgive you of your trespass if you pull it out immediately, if you keep away from my claim immediately. I have a claim for gold. Don't convert it to tin or silver. You leave my claim there as gold. That's a golden claim. Don't you mess with it. I didn't ask you to help me. I got this covered. I don't require anything of this court at this time. I'll let you know when I'm ready to pursue my claim to a federal court. Thank you very much. If you refuse to, I'm going to hold you personally liable for trespass on my claim of gold, my claim of trespass that somebody used a forged instrument to cause me harm. So before you feel like, oh, well, Carl's got a case dismissed, read the damn case. And then somebody called up and said, Carl, you got a case dismissed. I said, so what do you think that means? That means it's over. I said, so that you think it means that I can't put anything into the case? You think that's what it means? It's over? Like I can't add things, take things away, modify it? I can't do anything? Really? How many documents would you like to see me put into that case? Oh, it says the case is closed. Really? The United States District Court's case is closed, not the federal court case that I placed in front of the court. That case is open for as long as I want it, my children, my great-great-grandchildren. It's open until I say it's closed. So I said, well, what do you mean? I said, how many documents would you like to see me place into that case? They're like, oh, I don't know. You can't place anything. It says the case is closed. Okay, watch this. I'll put in what? What will make you happy? 10, 20, 30 documents? How many will make you satisfied that I could do it as I wish with my case as often as I like? Put documents in there as often as I want. That's it. And I put in what? Like 10, 20, 30? I don't know. It's on my website. I put 10, 20, 30 documents in there just to show. Yeah, right. You're trying to tell me, they're going to tell me what I can and cannot do with my case? Yeah, really? You think they're going to trespass on my case again after I gave them fair warning? Don't do it. I'm going to hold you personally liable for a trespass. No, they let me. They kept putting it in, and people said, wow, yeah, look at all these notices that you put in. That's right. Put a couple of dozen notices in. Put a couple today, a couple next week, a couple of weeks after that. I said, so you're saying my case is closed? How do all these documents keep popping up on paper? How do they keep getting recorded? Well, gee, I don't know. It says case closed. Well, that means what to you? Well, it must mean something to you people because you must think that you can't continue pursuing the case. Huh? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Well, you can. It's your case. You paid the fee. You tell them when it's closed, not them. It's your case. You tell them when you're going to take your letter and I want to send it to China. Well, no, I want to send it to India. No. Reroute it to Tripoli. No. Reroute it to Bangladesh. No, reroute it to Burma. Now, it's my damn case. It's my suit in that case, and I'll transfer it and I'll move it any damn time I want, any place I want. I paid for it. You know, so it's like I said, it might be a little hard for people to understand, but that's why I was hoping we would work with Gus because he was going to be sent down to the grand jury for an indictment. So it's like, oh, this is great. We finally get a grand jury case. This is wonderful. Let's go ask the jury foreman if it's going to be a legal grand jury or a common law grand jury or based on statute or a constitutional grand jury. What is it based on? What's it premised upon? What are the procedures in which the rules are going to act upon? Let's see. And I was hoping it was going to be like a legal grand jury. It's like, oh, good, I'm not a legal person. You have no authority, no jurisdiction over legal, because I'm not a legal person. I only got the name my mom gave me. I don't have a legal name. Like, you don't have a legal name? No, I don't have a legal name. What do you mean? I don't have a Boy Scout name. My name is in Big Running Foot Little Beaver. I don't have a Boy Scout name. I don't have a legal name. I just have the name my mama gave me. The only thing you got in your life is your good name. So I'm not giving it away. Well, what's your name? You mean the name my mama gave me? You mean like that apple pie my mama gave me? You want me to give you my mama's apple pie? I ain't giving you my mama's apple pie either. That's mine. That's my property. I'm not giving you anything. You're going to give me fair and just compensation. Then I'll give it to you. What's in it for me? See, I'm from New York. What's in it for me? You want something from me? Okay. You want my name? Good. What's in it for me?
Yep. Good stuff, Carl.
Carl?
Still there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I was just walking around. I don't know what part I left it off at, but you said good stuff, Carl. And I just said I'm on a roll. I don't know if you heard me say that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on a roll, man, because you're on, and I wanted to get this done once and for all. Talking to people who have gun charges on them, stuff like that. What's a gun? I don't have an effing clue what you're talking about. You're talking about my property? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I don't know. And like so many people try to say like that, the Rod Class guy, oh, well, gun, firearm, there's a bazooka that has a 50 cal. Look, I don't care how the legal world defines their terms. I don't care. Well, you had a gun on you. You mean I had my property in my possession? Yeah. Did anybody claim that property is not my property? That's how the guy in Canada and Quebec got his birds back immediately in an open court. I said to the guy, just plead guilty to every damn thing. Go listen to it. It's Mr. Daly and Karl Lentz, Birds of Prey. It worked in Quebec, which is supposed to be a code land. Plead effing guilty. Did you bring the damn birds into Canada? Yeah. Did you have them inoculated? No. No vaccination? No. No paperwork? No. You smuggle them into the country? Yes. You know what? I don't give a damn. Because you didn't hurt nobody while you're doing it. You paid somebody in Venezuela, Brazil for all those birds, right? Yeah, good. Then who gives a rat's ass how they got to your home or to your zoo, your private property? Who gives a damn how they got here? They're yours. Did you steal them? No. Did you make fair and just compensation for the guy in Brazil or Peru, wherever? Yes, good. It's not stolen property? Good. No, great. The prosecutor is going to swear up and down. He's going to swear that that's your property. He's going to swear that those are your birds. He's going to swear that they're your guns. Good. God bless the prosecutor because he's building your effing case. He's swearing on a stack of Bibles. Those are that man's birds. Those are that man's guns. Oh, good, good. Okay, then give me whatever your legal fine penalties are. You know what? I'm just, the other problem is I'm not a legal person. I don't understand your legal codes, and I'm not bound by them. So you know what? If you say I'm guilty, if the Boy Scouts say I'm guilty of breaking a Boy Scout code, okay. If the Boy Scout code handbook says I can't bring birds into Canada, okay. If the legal code book says I can't bring birds into Canada, okay. So the problem is I'm not a legal person. I'm not a Boy Scout person. The other problem is you have no jurisdiction or authority over me. I'm just a man. And this is a land of man still, a common law land? Yeah, well, sorry. But, what do you believe, you believe I'm guilty? Fine. If you believe you see space aliens on my head right now, look, I'm not here to argue the facts or evidence with you. If you see space aliens on my head, you see space aliens. I'm not here to dispute your facts. I'm not here to dispute your evidence. I don't care. Am I causing any harm or injury to you? No. Then what the hell does it matter what I'm doing with my property? What is it to you? Well, according to this code, the Boy Scout code, according to this legal code, again, with the legal code, again with the Boy Scout code. What are you going on about? I don't see it. So, like I said, if you listen to Mr. Daly and Birds of Prey, he says that they were talking in French, and the man just simply said, fine, I'm guilty. Fine. You believe I owe a fine, a debt? Fine. Tender me the bill and tell me that's what I owe. Fine. Not a problem. Oh, yeah, and he said when it got nice and quiet, he said, and the man said, and by the way, that prosecutor swore that those are my birds, those are my birds, my bird's good. Give me back my property. Give me back my property immediately. And the judge said to the prosecutor, restore his property immediately. And the prosecutor went off in French and said, da-da-da-da-da, whatever. And the judge said, you know the law. That's his property. You must return it to him immediately. And then he said the man left the courtroom, and he said you could hear the prosecutor and the judge, like, screaming at each other. Like the prosecutor going, like, do you realize what the hell you just did, Judge? He was like, hey, I'm a mandated reporter. That man said, somebody's got his property. I got to give him back his property. That's the law. I can't hold his property. Government only exists to secure and protect the property of the man until the man comes forward and makes a claim for the property. This man made a claim for his property. I got to give it back to him forthwith. I don't got a choice. That's my freaking job. I'm the judge. That's what I do. Define my job as something else, and then I'll do it. But until then, I got to abide by the rules of my job. This is what I do for a living. I help man secure and protect his property. When a man claims somebody's got his property, I got to order the other man to give it back. Said, so you're the one who screamed up and down for an hour. That was the man's birds that he brought into Canada. What am I going to say? No, they're not your birds. When the prosecutor in Canada, the Canadian government just swore for 2-3 hours, 2-3 months, that it was this man's birds, it was this man's property. What am I going to say? No, it's not your property. The prosecutor just swore it was your property for the last 3 months on the witness stand. So the Canadian government swears that those are your birds. You bought your birds. These are your birds you bought. Yeah, you brought them into this country. Yeah, they're your birds. Yeah, okay. You're liable for these birds. Absolutely. There you go. Didn't the prosecutor just swear for half an hour that those are my birds? Yeah. Now give me back my property. There you go. You had to give him back. You don't believe me? Go listen to Mr. Daly versus Birds of Prey. Mr. Daly is a multi-millionaire. He has the biggest zoo in Canada. He owns a Lion Safari Park up there in north of Hamilton. There's no reason for him to lie. He was just like, holy crap, Carl, this thing really worked. I told my friend he owned a zoo in Quebec how to do this, and he got his birds back. He was like, holy crap. He said, it was great. It's not a very long YouTube video to watch. And just go listen to it. These judges know what the hell they're doing. These cops know what they're doing. These U.S. Marshals know what they're doing. They're just waiting for a man to appear and make a claim. Not somebody jib-jabbing back and forth and some ridiculous legalese jogging. Because like I say to people all the time, when you take on the role, when you act as the defendant, if you act as Othello, I don't care if you're Lawrence Fishburne. I don't care if you're Laurence Olivier. I don't care what a great actor you are. I don't care, who you think you are. If you take on a title, if you take on and you act of the status of that of Othello, Othello's going to die in the end. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care what a great actor you are. I don't care what a great performer you think you are in a courtroom. I don't give a damn what lines you know. You're the defendant, you lose. That's your title that you took, you lose. You better have your claim before that court at the same time that they're moving their complaint against you, because claims always trump complaints. If you got a claim ticket that you got a hat, you walk to the hat checkout girl in the restaurant at 7 o'clock, you check your hat, you got the claim ticket, 8 o'clock, you leave, you give her the claim ticket, boom, she gives you a hat instantly because you got the claim ticket. That's just, boom, you got the claim, you're done. You get in the restaurant at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you got to leave, you lose your damn claim ticket, you lose it. Now you got to say to the lady, oh, that's my hat over there. Oh, really? Well, how do we know it's yours? Well, I say it's mine. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? You don't have, we're going to have to wait until 3 o'clock in the morning until all the hats leave. And if that's the very last hat standing, we'll give it back to you. You can complain all you want, buddy. Here's a complaint form. File a complaint. But guess what? There's not a damn thing that's going to happen until 3 o'clock in the morning. You ain't getting no hat because you don't have a claim. The claim is always going to trump a complaint.